So this is my Hiita deck, or I like to call Fire Girl deck. You know, all the different elements that they have. They have the fire one, the water one, the wind one, the dark, the light, the earth, right? And they slowly are coming out with some of the supports. I don't know why they're taking so long, but I noticed that they came out with the earth one. I'm not even sure the earth one is here yet. I don't see the earth one, but the earth one is Archfiend Eater, and it's the, I'll say, the evolved version of this little monster right here. So it's going to be a beast, and it's going to have Archfiend's name. So that's something to take into consideration. So you could put that in the Earth Familiar deck, but this is the Fire Familiar deck. Alright, so 3 Hiitas, the Fire Charmers, only because she's part of the Archetype. 1500 defense is alright. Mainly she's part of the Archetype, but against like Fire Fist, Fire Kings, or any fire attribute deck, this has an R8 effect against that. Because as long as you can protect her, you can just flip, take your opponent's monster, do what you want with it. You could also combo it with DNA Transplant, make monsters fire, so that way you can guarantee she has an effect that you can use. But because she's a spellcaster, you can obviously special summon Inari Fire. Now that's part of the other thing of the use of her. It's not just for her flip effect. It's mainly you summon her, special Inari Fire, then tribute the 2 to special summon Familiar Possessed Hiita, which is 1850, and because she was special summoned by her effect, she now has trample. Because this has a really nice effect, because its effect applies even from the deck, so it makes it really unique, where from your main deck it has use. You can also special summon it from the hand, of course, but the whole deck thing, oh, that's what makes it so interesting, because it's a quick way of thinning out your deck. So you summon Hiita, the Charmer, Inari Fire, tribute them both, and then you bring out an 1850 that now it can trample. You know, they can now pierce. So that's pretty nice, pretty useful. And let's say you have another Inari Fire in your hand, you can special summon it, and then, because you notice Inari Fire is right in her artwork. So that's just ironic, right? Obviously, that was deliberate. Blazing Hiita, obviously, they have the effect. I mean, it makes sense that because Inari Fire, it makes sense that, you know, it's like you summon her, special him, tribute him, and then you can summon a high-level fire monster. And as long as she stays on the field, that monster will stay on the field, right? So this is a 2-card combo right here to summon any high-level fire monster. So it's part of what I see the archetype is going, or if you want to consider it an archetype. You'll see it in my other deck, my Mist Valley version of the Wind deck, the usefulness of this effect. Because sometimes you need, there's big monsters you want to summon, and they're usually hard to summon because they usually have a requirement. Obviously, tributing 2 monsters is a big requirement, right? So imagine trying to summon Beast King Worlds. You want to summon him with 3000 attack instead of just normal summon. It's 1900, so you can use the Earth one with Archfiend Eater and then tribute, and then summon Beast King Worlds as a 3000. So stuff like that. I mean, you know, things to take into consideration. Being able to summon Gadgetron Dragon with that combo. You know what I mean? All right, so let's continue with this. So you see those cards combo. Inari Fire also combos pretty well with Flamebolt Magician, because he is a spellcaster and he's a tuner. So and they both have 200 defense, right? So you can synchro, rekindle, synchro again. You get the idea. You can do the rekindling OTK. So this deck has an OTK. You have the Circle of the Fire Kings. Goes good with Inari Fire because you destroy him, and then you can bring back any of these fire monsters from your graveyard, right? and then you'll get his effect. So that way, in your following standby phase, he'll come back. So you know, so you're not really negging. You're pretty much plus, because now with him and Circle of the Fire Kings, basically that's your monster reborn right there, that combo. So you can bring back any of your fire monsters you want, even something as simple as bringing back Blaster, right? Now let's say you attack with 1500, right? Then you play Circle, bring special summon Blaster, attack for 28. You know what I mean? That's a good amount of damage in one turn. And then on your following standby phase, he'll come back. Blaster will go to the hand. Your standby phase, he'll come back to the field, and you can do whatever you want. You know, you can summon Charmer, for example, and then use, you know, and then send both to the graveyard to bring out Familiar, you know, and so on and so on. Or you can just summon Blaster Hiita, tribute Inari Fire, summon the Blaster again. You get the idea. Beto, MST, Regeki Break, Red Screen, my staples, you know what to do with that. Call Haunted, just the ability to reborn the monsters and reuse them. Plus it's useful to bring back the synchros that you make and reuse their effects. Spiritual Fire Art, that's good. Obviously with Blaster, most of the monsters in the deck, they have pretty decent attack strength, so you can deal a good amount of damage. But mainly you want to use Blaster with this. Yeah, but just like I said, you know, you can attack for 1500, Circle of the Fire Kings, right? Bring back to 28, Blaster, attack for 28. You can play Spiritual Fire Art, deal some damage, right? And if you have another Fire Art on the field, right, you can banish 2 fire monsters in the graveyard, main phase 2, to bring back Blaster, and then tribute him for the Fire Art. You know, you get the idea, a lot of damage, so that's why that's in the deck. It's all about reducing life points down to 0. Crimson Blader, or even Black Rose, you know, even the, oh, that's a light, but Black Rose, you could combo it. You summon Black Rose, activate the Black Rose's effect, right? Chain it with Fire Art, get Fire Art's effect first, tributing Black Rose, just, you know, deal 2400 points of damage, then destroy everything on the field, because the effect was still resolved. Crimson Blader, you know, decent enough. It's a fire, 2800 to your opponent's life points. So there's synergy in here, obviously. Zen main, you never know. Let's say you take your opponent's, use Charmer to take your opponent's 3-star fire monster, right? Then overlay and make a Zen main, because Zen main has a good effect, plus it's a fire. So that tends to be useful, because you could call, you know, you could call Haunted him and tribute him for the trap, Fire Art, or the fact that you can banish it to summon Blaster, or the fact that you could Fire Ring it. Like, let's say it ran out of materials, and you can use Fire Ring, Circle the Fire Kings on him, and bring back one of your fire monsters, like your Blaster or something. Maestro, because he has a good effect, obviously. Comes in handy and get rid of some high-level monsters that have low defense but high attacks. Exciton Knight, because he's broken. Number 101, because he's broken. Big Eye, because you can go into Black Rose in this deck. Right, go into Black Rose, or you can go into Moonlight Rose Dragon, get its effect off, banish 2 fire monsters, bring out Blaster, overlay, make Big Eye, and steal something if you want. If you want. If you can go into a 7, you know, a lot of times you'll just Black Rose, and then banish 2 dragons, bring out Blaster, attack directly. Heliopolis, because there's a lot of 8 stars in here, so you could make them if you need them. Stardust Spark Dragon. Good effect. I pretty much put them in every deck where I obviously put Stardust. Stardust helps you protect your stuff, of course. It works good against a lot of destruction effects, like your opponent summoning an Exciton or Judgment Dragon or something like that. Combo it with Red Screen, especially against Judgment Dragon. Red Screen and Stardust combos pretty well, obviously. Snapdragon, case you have these Call of Haunted stuck on the field because you synchro to XYZ summon or something. You could pop the Call of Haunted and destroy your opponent's monsters. Or cards, whatever, right? Colossal Fighter because he's good against warrior decks, and he's a good defensive card if you need it. He's really good if your opponent has a 2800 on his side of the field. You summon him, bunkheads, then attack directly when he resummons himself. Red Dragon, Duel Red Dragon Archman, just because he's awesome and he comes in handy in many scenarios. He's a 3000 beast tech. Star Eater, just because you can make him with Flamebolt Magician and Blaster, and he's 3200. He has a good effect, of course. You don't have to worry about Mirror Force and stuff like that, so that's why he's in there. That's the